Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. Oh, where are they? Hold on. Jesus. Oh my god. Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're talking about fragrances. I don't want to say I'm new to the fragrance game because I don't feel that I am, but I have never done like a video dedicated to fragrance. If you've watched my channel for a bit of time, I've incorporated fragrance here and there. Like whenever I put a fragrance on one of my get ready with me's, I'll normally link it down below, but you kind of have no context for the fragrance, but I allow you to see me put it on, and what a gift that is for you. I'm going to walk you through all of my fragrances. I'm going to try to describe them to you by a feeling, emotion, a vision, and then we'll go on to Fragrantica and look at what the actual notes of the fragrance are, because that's not going to be super helpful to you. But I think that fragrances can be described both in a vibe and like by notes and whatever. And I figure this could be a journey that we go on together. I love wearing fragrance. I love fragrance quite a bit. I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface of fragrance. We're gonna do it together. I'm gonna learn all about notes and stuff with you. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. And I hope that I can make this as entertaining as I've made beauty content for you. So let's try. So I got into fragrance, I would say around 2013, 14 maybe. The first time I really like approached a fragrance counter was with my friend Kristen. And she has an aunt. Her aunt was well off, pretty well off. And she was obsessed with this fragrance brand called Bond Number 9. And at the time, we had a Bond Number 9 counter at the Nordstrom in Pittsburgh. It's no longer there. It got removed. I don't feel like it was like a while ago now, but it was just so devastating. If you've never approached a fragrance counter, I understand it can be pretty threatening. Like, especially whenever you have to work directly with a salesperson, because fragrance is really expensive. So people are going to have eyes on you if you walk up to a fragrance counter, even if no one's there. And most of the time you're going to need help anyway. What I will tell you is in most situations, not every situation has been a glowing situation for me. Most times the people who are working at the fragrance counter are really there to help. And hopefully the person that you get paired with is really knowledgeable about the brand that you're trying to explore. I will say that I've spent like upwards of an hour at a fragrance counter, and sometimes not even to buy anything. And I think that sometimes the person that I'm talking with also knows that I'm not going to buy anything, and we have a great time exploring fragrance, especially if you get someone who's really into fragrance talking to you. It just gets you really excited. And I remember going to that Bond counter the first time, and we smelled so many things. And there was one fragrance that I really liked. I didn't buy it. They're very expensive. I don't even know how much they cost back then. I know how much they cost now, and it's scary. It's scary how much a bottle of, I guess, luxury fragrance, but fragrance is kind of a high price point item as it is. And I have found that kind of the fragrances, and this might be like trauma from having worked in a Sephora, but a lot of the fragrances that Sephora carries are not ones that I'm interested in. And I have found that the cheaper you go, sometimes, not all the time, and I haven't put it in the like work, so I'm saying this is more of a generalization, not the like fact, not the Bible. The cheaper I go, the less I tend to like a fragrance. I don't know all of the ins and outs of fragrance, but that has been the case because I like niche stuff. I like things that are a little more potent than what you can get, things that just don't smell like anything else. Like at the fragrance wall at a Sephora, all of them kind of smell the same to me, especially if you're talking about like men's fragrance. There are no rules to fragrance. I just need you to know that. I think if we're having this conversation here now, you can wear a men's fragrance if you're a woman, and you can wear a women's fragrance if you're a man. Whatever you like, whatever you want to smell like, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. I know it's really easy for me to say as someone who's like gender fluid and like not really one way or the other, but what I'm telling you is like whatever you want to smell like, you can just smell like that. And I want to give you that freedom. So if you haven't, you're welcome. But since that year, I've been like gifted fragrance. I've gotten some fragrances here and there. Kristen did gift me for one of my birthdays a like travel size of the Bond Number 9 fragrance scent of peace for him. There are two. There is like a regular scent of peace. I really worked that. I worked that to the bone. I had it for such a long time, and I really didn't run through it because I knew how expensive it was, even that travel size. It was like one of those things where it's like it's only for special occasions. And then a couple of years ago, I really started to get into fragrance a little bit more. And I think this was kind of sparked by Michelle Wong talking about fragrance and talking about interesting fragrances. It's not that I have the same taste as Michelle Wong, but she did a really good job describing things and made me want to smell things. And I was like, I could have more fragrances. And I went to Chicago and I bought a couple of fragrances then. There are some fragrances here that I've gotten from gratis when I worked at Sephora. There are some things that I got from like influencer. I've never gotten fragrance PR specifically, but there are some things that I have that I've gotten for free. I have some things that were sent to Khaki as PR that she passed on to me. So like, it's a little bit of an eclectic thing. I wish I could invest more in fragrances, but it is kind of a high price point unless you're doing like travel sizes, which is still can add up. So I would like to go on this journey, but I want to do it really responsibly. Like I would like to accumulate some more fragrances, try more fragrances. And if you have any suggestions for me, let me know down below. We're going to go all over the place fragrance wise. I just want you to know that before we jump in, like they're not all similar. You know how like vanilla people are vanilla people? I don't have that thing where I'm like, I want everything to smell like this. And I'm going to add a couple of fragrances to my wish list. I hadn't been putting fragrances on my wish list. I do have a couple that I would like to purchase or get. The other unfortunate thing, and this is just something I'm going to complain about, is that some fragrance houses, especially like niche fragrance houses, they will have some of their fragrances available in travel sizes, but not all of them. And well, I don't mind buying a tester pack, especially if they offer you money off towards the purchase of a full size. It's like, I just would like to try the one fragrance because sometimes the sampler pack has fragrances in it that I don't think I'd be interested in. Now, I could be delightfully surprised, but if there's one thing I'm really bad about with fragrance, and I have a ton of them floating around my room, little samples, I forget about them. I never use them. And the other thing is I often forget to like wear my big fragrances, like the ones I have the full-size bottles of. So it kind of is what it is. We're on a little bit of a journey. So let's get started. Allow me to introduce you to Wall Street from Bond number 9. All of Bond number 9's fragrances come in a bottle shaped like this, but they're different colors. So it's not like if you bought more than one, you would be confused about which one was which. And at least at first, I don't know if they've hit all the neighborhoods. Each fragrance is inspired by a certain neighborhood. So Wall Street. And I have a couple more. But some of them aren't named after it, but like a lot of them are named after neighborhoods in New York City. I've watched people spray both sides. Is there a right side to spray things on? This is at fragrance counters. They will spray the thinner side, and then sometimes they will spray the larger side. Something tells me that this is the right way. There's more purchase from my finger. Anyway, let's go on a ride. It's a chilly day, and you're in New York City, obviously, and it smells like you've walked past a very rich stockbroker. It smells like his aftershave, but it's been long enough that it's not super strong. And it's cold outside because certain notes in this really give me that vibe of like chill. Like something that you would experience on the morning after a nighttime rain. There's probably some fog or maybe a little bit of mist. It's a gray day. It's not a pretty day outside. I bought this fragrance when I was in Chicago, and the person who helped me there, her name is Dawn. She works at Saks Fifth. Well, at the time she worked at the Bond number 9 counter at Saks Fifth Avenue. So if you happen to be in Chicago or want to make a purchase from Bond number 9, Dawn is great. If you call the Saks in Chicago up, I'm sure she would be more than happy to hook you up. I don't have her contact information anymore, but I do distinctly remember her helping me because she's great. Again, I have a great time at these counters. If I have a good interaction with you, it's a good time. And I remember Dawn. This was like 3 years ago at this point. And I remember she was like, we were talking about our favorite fragrances in the line. And so I was there with Kristen. So we're very familiar with the line at this point. We always want to smell the new things. And then we were talking about our favorites and she started layering things. She was doing this beautiful thing where she was taking some stuff that would be traditionally masculine, like Wall Street, and layering it with things that were pretty feminine. And I love that. So I will say, like, sometimes I really love, and again, I think this is like the problem of being non-binary is that like sometimes you will find yourself living in one side or the other. And that's my experience. I think some people feel that way. Other people don't. They're always in the same wherever they fall. I'm not like that. Some days I feel like super masculine and some days I feel incredibly feminine. So this person introducing me, and it's like I knew that you could layer fragrances, but sometimes I just feel like I don't like it doesn't matter. But she was really showing me like the nuances of that. And this happens to layer really well, really beautifully with the scent of peace, the regular one. And that's my favorite fragrance. We'll talk about it in just a moment. It was this, and then there was also a fragrance called Sutton Place. And that's really, really like masculine too. And it layers really well with the scent of peace as well. So I just like got really into the concept of playing around with it. But let's look up what this says on Fragrantica. Now, I do have a friend that said that it's not Fragrantica, it's Fragrantica. I don't know about that, but I just want you to know that that's what they told me. So if I throw out a Fragrantica, I feel very much like Hannah Louise Poston with Patina and Patina. Let me open up my phone. I just got a new background for my phone. You know who it is. It's Shawn Mendes. He's smoking a cigarette. It's very sexy. Oh, interesting. So I thought that Bond Number 9, I thought that on Fragrantica, they did the notes. They showed you the notes in like the top, middle, and base. So this has notes of cucumber, seaweed, lemon, and bitter orange. Lavender, musk, pistachio, vetiver, ambergris, leather, caraway, and resins. That masculine smell is coming from like the ambergris, leather kind of thing, maybe the resins. Vetiver sometimes I feel like doesn't always land masculine, but sometimes it can. I'm thinking that the combination with that and the citrus is what makes it feel like a cool day. I don't smell lemon or orange, but I can see how it's in there. Now the cucumber, I don't know where that comes from, but I do love the smell of cucumber, but I would never say that I want to smell like cucumber. And perhaps the seaweed is maybe also giving me a little vibe of like that aquatic. Fragrantica says it's an aromatic aquatic fragrance. And I do think that if there is a trend we might find, aquatic might be it, because I like petrichor. I like anything that kind of has to do with the water. And it's so funny because I'm not a water baby like that. But I like the smell of it, but I don't really want to be around large bodies of it. If there are really that many notes in it, how is one supposed to really pinpoint one? Because it's not like, I really wouldn't call it I wouldn't really call it a citrus. I really think all of the things that are watery are really carrying that. But it's a really beautiful fragrance. I highly suggest if you live in an area that has a Bond Number 9 counter at any of your bougie stores, you don't have to buy anything. You can just go and smell. And if you have good rapport, they'll often give you samples. They call the little samples bonbons. I love that. Let's move on to what is, I believe, to be my favorite fragrance I've ever had. And it's a long-standing fragrance, but I don't wear it on its own too much anymore because I don't ever want to not smell it on me. And it is Bond Number 9 Scent of Peace. Last time I heard, because I was in a Bond Number 9 counter, and I believe it was in the Bloomingdale's inside of King of Prussia Mall. And I believe that the person who helped us was named Megan. Whenever I told her that I had this, she was like, did you know that we like haven't had that in stock in many months? She said, hold on to that. It's like gold right now. And I said, well, I wasn't going to give it to anyone because I spent like $400 on this. It's so expensive. So the first fragrance from Bond Number 9 that I ever fell in love with, like it's been this one the whole time. It's stunning, gorgeous, amazing. And let me spray some. Let me take you on a journey. Let's go on a journey. Where are we gonna go? I really don't know how to describe this one. I think it's because this one feels like it's just smells like me now because I've worn it so much, but let's see if smelling it on its own takes me anywhere. It's colorful. There's so much color. You're in a field full of flowers. And everything is good, and you're just so happy. And the sky is blue, but there are big fluffy white clouds in it, but not too many. You still see the blue sky. The sun is partially behind a cloud, and the sun is hitting you just gently. It's not too strong, but you're wearing sunscreen. I'm not saying that's in the fragrance, but I just want to remind you to wear sunscreen. Maybe you're on a picnic date. Yeah, I think you're on a picnic date and you're just like holding hands and like laying in the grass with all the beautiful flowers around you. And you're just looking at the clouds with your partner. That's it. That's what this fragrance is. It's everything good in this world. Like, I mean that. Let's look up the notes. This one is a lot more basic than the last one. There's like a lot less notes in it. And this one is divided into top, middle, and base notes. So the top notes are black currant. I hope I said that right because I always want to say black currant. But it's It's black currant. And not even people on Great British Bake Off say black currant, but that is what I want to say. Je m'appelle français. My name's French. Grapefruit. So top notes are black currant, grapefruit. Middle notes, a lily of the valley, and then the base notes, musk and Virginia cedar. That's where I don't know what lily of the valley smells like. And when I tell you I don't get a lick of grapefruit, but that might be why it's so colorful. Like that's why when I close my eyes and I smell it, it's just like all I see is just incredible, vivid, bright colors, but not neons, softer than that. It's just everything's right. Everything's perfect. Like it's just, that's what I get when I smell this. And I don't know what black currant smells like either. I know a lot of people bake with it. And I'm guessing, let's see what they basically call this. A floral woody musk. And I do think that musk might be a through line in some of these too, especially the ones that I like the most, because what I like about this, and I think this would, in most people's mind, lean more feminine, but I think that musk and that cedar at the bottom there is really what balances out for me, because I wouldn't say I like a citrus fragrance. Like that's not something that I really lean into. So I think all the other things with like the touch of that grapefruit is just what does it for me. And it's one of those things where it's like, I really need to use the good stuff. And then here's the bottle. I need to use all of my fragrances more. I've had this for a couple of years. I don't keep them in the sunlight. I know that fragrance goes bad. So I use them more. I try to use them more now. I don't like wearing fragrance always in the house, even though it can boost my mood. If I'm having a really bad day, I will maybe come to the fragrances in my room and like be like, let's just spray me and get myself going a little bit. It's like I don't really leave my house all that much. I'm leaving my house more, and I have been wearing fragrance more because I've been leaving the house more. So it has been nice. But let's move on to the next fragrance, and this is what I received in gratis. This is Tom Ford Black Orchid. Now, let me tell you, they started giving out fragrances very regularly in gratis at the end of my tenure, and so I don't work for Sephora anymore. So if anyone who does and receives gratis, are you still getting a lot of fragrances? Like we got like the last couple months I worked there, we got like a ton, and it was like so strange because we just had never gotten fragrance before. To get a Tom Ford fragrances at Sephora are on the higher end of the cost of a fragrance. Like they're more like luxury priced. I mean, it's Tom Ford. If you're a makeup lover and you know about Tom Ford's makeup, you'll know that like it's not cheap makeup, but like his fragrances are also pretty expensive. And you can tell it's gratis because it's scribed. So that G there means it's gratis. What they do that for is so that you don't try to resell it. But I honestly don't think most people would care. Let's go on a journey. So I was told to fan the fragrance into your nose instead of going, I don't know. I just do things I learned. Don't yell at me in the comments section, fragrance people. I'm doing my best, okay? It's dark. I think you're inside, but the windows are open. You have a record going, and the lights in the house are dimmed. But it only has the tension, the anticipation of sexiness. Like you're not even in foreplay yet. It's like you're like, I'm gonna kiss that. Like I'm gonna kiss that person. Maybe it's the first time you and someone are getting intimate, and you know, like that feeling in your stomach where you're like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. You're like sitting a certain way because you know, like it shows off your good side. And they're wearing something like you just got home from like a gala, and you're both dressed in whatever gala wear looks like to you. I don't want to prescribe what that fantasy would look like for you. So like in my fantasy, it's a man and he's wearing like a tuxedo. And that's the vibe of this fragrance. Like it's not one of my fragrances at the forefront of my mind. I find this pretty masculine, and I don't always lean all the way into that. It's like much more heavy. It has like a presence that a lot of the fragrances I wear don't. If I wore a lot of this fragrance, it would enter the room before me. Sometimes I don't want that. And I have found that it's unique enough that it doesn't really like to layer with things. I've layered it a couple times successfully. And also it's so distinct of the fragrances I've talked about so far. If you were wearing it to impress someone that you're attracted to, it could be too much for them. So I would wear this to in front of people I want to feel like powerful. In front of people I want to intimidate, I would wear this fragrance. And sometimes you want to intimidate a partner too. But do you know what I mean? Like, I know I just gave that it is a sexy fragrance, but I just don't think it's like, it's not for everyone. Whereas the other two fragrances are really unique. It's just like, there's not such a presence of them. You take the cap off of this and it's like, of course, I just sprayed, this is my third fragrance I just sprayed. And it's like the only one I can smell in the room right now. Let's look it up on Fragrantica. I believe that this is the parfum because it's in the all gold packaging. It is described as an amber floral fragrance. So I'm assuming there's going to be amber in it. So that makes sense. So the top notes are truffle and plum. And I can smell the plum. There is something, it's not like incredibly fruity, but there's like, you can tell there's a little bit something into it. The middle notes are rum, ylang ylang, and black orchid, the namesake, and the base notes of patchouli. I like patchouli as a base note. Patchouli is like the biggest part of the scent, not into, but things to lay on top of it. So you can now imagine, knowing that there's patchouli in it, that like it does just have like a presence to it. But I don't think it smells like straight patchouli. Like I wouldn't say that like that would be a concern. And I would say that this leans pretty far masculine, but I think a woman would really smell sexy in this too. Like anyone would smell sexy in this. Like I like it, but I think that I think it would be a polarizing fragrance for some people. I can smell the rum in there too. It's scrummy. And now that I know the plum's in there, I'm like, that makes sense. There's like a little something in it. It's like, what is that? It's like there's like a tiny bit of sweetness, and I think that's what it is. This one was sent to me from Influencer, and my frustration with Influencer, if you don't know what it is, anyone can sign up for Influencer. It's not like it is for people who want to be influencers, but you just kind of answer a bunch of surveys and then sometimes they send you stuff. And I've gotten like more than just makeup from Influencer. I've gotten like dog treats. I've gotten a Nespresso machine, which was kind of fun, but they would only send me men's fragrances, quote unquote men's fragrances. So this is from Valentino. It is Born in Roma Eau de Toilette. I think that's what it's called. Born in Roma. It's not really on here. It's not on here, but I think this is Born in Roma. And what I love this bottle, like this packaging, is I love the studs, and like I love the stud going around the top. This one, because it's Valentino, it suffers from feeling a little bit basic in my opinion, but I still like it. But let's see where I take us. It's fall. It's fall. The leaves are starting to turn. Maybe a few have fallen. It's not mostly green. They are orange, but we just don't have, there's not a lot of fall. Like there's not a lot of foliage on the ground. And this one doesn't really smell like much. Like I'm smelling it and I'm just getting fall. And I feel like it's just not carrying the way the last one did. I just explained to you the last one's potent. But what I want to say is like, what I'm trying to describe is that anything you could buy at like a Sephora or a Macy's or an Ulta, and I'm like, even the luxury houses like Valentino, I just never really connect with those fragrances. Oh, a little bit of like mentholy, something mentholy feeling in there. Maybe it's fall and we're smoking a cigarette, walking the dog, something basic, right? But you're in a luxury, you're in a trench coat, maybe Burberry, maybe when you thrifted. But it's giving this fragrance is like, it's a fall pedestrian errand running. So I hope this isn't anyone's favorite fragrance. Let's look it up. I think this might be the Born in Roma Coral Fantasy, because it's a little bit confusing. Okay, Born in Roma, and it says for men. I think that's it. It doesn't say on the bottle, it just says Valentino. It's a woody aromatic fragrance, and it says for men. The last couple I've said have been unisex, according to Fragrantica, but this one says for men. That makes sense why it's not my favorite. Okay, so the top notes are red apple, cardamom, and Calabrian, bergamot. And I always want to say bergamot, not bergamot. I don't know, I have problems. The red apple, I'm thinking, is one of the things that I don't like, why it feels basic. And then the middle notes, lavender, bourbon, geranium, and clary sage. And the base notes are all fine. Tobacco leaf, patchouli, and vetiver, Haitian vetiver. This is not a strong contender. I do wear this sometimes. It's very basic. It doesn't feel like the person who made this is having fun, especially for it to be, I think I do remember, I was like, it was called coral and I don't get coral. Like, I don't know what coral smells like, but it doesn't smell like this. Like, and I mean the color, maybe there is something like coral that has a smell, but I guess you would assume that would be a note in there if that was the possibility. I like the bottle more than I like the fragrance, and I think I really only keep it around for the bottle because I was just smelling it just now and I was like, this does nothing for me. I can't believe I have this one. I can't believe I have this one. I can't believe I got it from a friend in friend mail. This is the Harmonist Guiding Water. My friend Elle, who is Elle Essentially on Instagram, we kind of did like a swap. I sent her some makeup and she sent me this. And she had a sample of this and she bought the full size because she loved it. And then she didn't love the full size as much. I'm happy to report that that was not what happened to me. I had a sample from Scentbird that I tried because this was a fragrance that I was after for a while after hearing Michelle Wong describe it, and I just wanted to smell it. It's a favorite of mine, and we're now kind of getting into the season where I can wear it. Not that you can't wear a fragrance whenever you want to wear a fragrance, but I, much like music, there are certain fragrances that I like to wear certain times of the year, and we're heading into regular scent of peace time. We're heading into guiding water. So let me take you on a journey. Let's see where the guiding water takes us. A morning in the summertime, and it was weirdly cool. Or maybe we're at the end of summer heading into fall. It's the first cool night of the year. So there's everything is just covered in water. Like, what is it called whenever, like, mist? No. Like, whenever, like, you look at a flower and it has, like, droplets of water. Condensation. Is that what I'm... Yeah. I think that's what I'm thinking of. But, like, on the leaves, on the flowers, in the grass, it's foggy out. And the sun is up, but not quite crusted over... like, you can't really see it yet. But it is light, you know? It is light out. And there's just a fog that's coming. And I'm assuming that you love the fall in this situation because the fact that the heat has finally broke and you're just smelling that water outside and it smells so good. And you have been so miserable because summertime's really hard for you and you're walking to the bus or to the car and you're just like, you're so happy because the weather is starting to do its thing. And you think about wearing a hoodie even though it might be too warm later on in the day. And you're just so thrilled and you're thinking about all the things that in a couple of weeks that you can wear that you can't wear in the summertime because it's just fall clothes. I'm talking about me. It smells so good. This is gray. This is decidedly gray. Where the scent of peace was decidedly colorful, this is like the opposite. So it's kind of like the other end of summer, like where I feel like scent of peace is very spring. This is very heading into the fall. That's some of my favorite times. As you know, my birthday is in October, so whenever the temperature starts changing, it just means we're going to celebrate me very soon. I mean, and that Christmas is a few months later, but me. I still love this. I love this. I haven't worn it in a while. Oh man, let's look it up. Fragrantica describes it as a floral aquatic fragrance. Okay, I think this all makes sense. I think the way I described it just makes you sense. So the top notes are ozonic notes or like ozonic, watermelon, which I don't get the watermelon. I don't smell fruit at all because I think when you first spray it, the first thing you smell is like the ozonic and there's also aquatic notes. So you kind of smell that watery, which is why I was like, you know, thinking condensation, fog. That's like really the vibe, but it's gray. It's gray. It's not super sunny, right? And then it's floral in the middle. So lotus, cyclamen, and jasmine. And then the base, we have lily, white musk, and white pepper. Damn. There is another water fragrance. And if you've never looked at the Harmonist, they're like a niche luxury fragrance house. These are not the most expensive fragrances I've purchased. Like, well, I guess I didn't purchase this, but like I've considered buying. They have kind of like 8 main fragrances and they have some other things that they do as well. And they're based on like your sign. So if you go to their website and you like kind of take a quiz, it's, you know how like a lot of fragrance quizzes, they'll be like based on your vibe, which I think is a good way to go off things. But like they take into consideration your astrological sign. I'm a water sign, I'm a Scorpio. And this was the one that was like prescribed to me by their website. But there also is another water fragrance and I can't remember the name of it right now, but I also love that one. I love their fragrances. I would love to get into the Harmonist more. maybe the next fragrance video. They do have a sample pack, and it's one of those ones that like will get you money off of a full size. Maybe when I have some additional money, I'll buy one of those. We'll smell all of the fragrances. I'll wear them for a bit, and I'll report back on which one I plan on buying. Obviously, I already have this one, so I wouldn't buy this one, but we'll see which other one. I finally, whenever I was in King of Prussia Mall, this was in the Neiman Marcus, they had these, and I smelled them all, and I smelled them all again, and I smelled them all a million times. But no one came over to help me, so I was doing that on my own. So I don't know if the Harmonist specifically contracts people, but maybe they weren't there because it didn't seem like even the fragrance people were comfortable talking about this brand when I was there. It was like, you know, we were asking things offhand. And when I buy a fragrance in person, I want there to be a person, a connection with it. You know what I mean? Like that's important to me. The social aspect of it is very important to me. Let's round out my Bond number 9 collection. This is the scent of peace for him. There's a bow tie. I still have it, but like there's an elastic bow tie, and it's really annoying because it kind of like falls off every time. So the bow tie sits next to it, but you got to know it's for men. It's not like if you have both of them, they're very indistinguishable. So, but it's blue because you're a boy. This and Scent of Peace are the two that I like, fragrances that I'm most familiar with, that I wear the most. But let's go on a journey, shall we? This one smells so good too. Where are we? It's the early days of winter. I think because of the for him part of it, which I guess we'll find out in a little bit of time what that actually means. You're kind of up near like an electric fireplace. So not one that actually smells like smoke because there's no smoky scent in this. And you're there with loved ones, maybe your family. It could be your family. This one feels much less sensual than Black Orchid. Or it could be your partner, but it's not like everyone's in a good mood. It's like a good winter day, because I know that winter is hard for a lot of people. But you know, sometimes in winter, there's a day every now and then where you're just like, you're really feeling the vibes of winter, but you're warm because you're wearing like a flannel, or maybe you're wearing a Snuggie on the couch. You're very comfortable. You're very warm, but you're also so happy. Maybe you're watching a little bit of TV, but maybe you're playing like a board game with your family, and everyone's just happy. Everyone's just happy. And I think that maybe the game playing thing is, I think when I was gifted this fragrance, we played board games after that, and I like, of course, smelled like it because of course I opened it and I was like, sprayed it all over me. So that might be a personal thing, but I think that's okay. Fragrance can be personal. Let's look up the notes. All right, this is described as a woody aromatic fragrance for men. So it has pineapple. It's pineapple, juniper berries, and bergamot. It's so funny whenever there's citrus in something because I'm like, I don't smell that. Currant buds, cedar and vetiver. So I definitely smell the cedar. The pineapple is a little confounding there. And I assume that would be like what you smell at first, right? The top notes are kind of like what hits you. It's like the top notes are your moon sign. The middle notes are your rising, and the like, it's like that's what it kind of feels like. I just really poorly, and I think incorrectly, said astrology things. So khaki, sound off in the comments. But yeah, I think you have to like that woody stuff that's happening on the bottom to like this fragrance. But because I don't smell, like I don't know what currant buds smell like, but maybe that's probably what I'm smelling the most of. But it does smell like traditionally masculine. Not so traditionally masculine that it feels basic, but it's like a very beautiful version of a men's fragrance. It smells so good. Like, ideally, I have a partner that smells like this. Like, I like to smell like this. Had some, like, the bonbons, like the little guys, samples of this, and I gave those to Tiff. They smelled so good. They smelled so good. Every time they would wear it, I'd be like, you smell sexy. You smell so hot. You smell so good. And I do wear this fragrance. I did think about giving them it, but it's mine. Like, it's mine. I do still wear it. I like wearing it a lot. But it's like I definitely like smelling people that smell like this rather than me smelling like it. So it could be worth to lend it to Tiff every now and then just so I can smell them in it. Not that Tiff and I have any sexual tension between us, but like they just smelled really good. And there's nothing better than, I think, when you wake up in your own house and then you see the other person in your house and they shower you in compliments. Tiff does that for me. I do that for them. Like when they come down and they look good and they've like, you can tell that they've gotten ready for the day. And like, it's like, damn, Tiff, you look great. And when they would wear that fragrance, they would smell great. Let's move along. My camera's overheating. What's new? So I have Giorgio Armani's My Way. which has this like egg on top. I think that Lady Gaga is like the spokesperson for this particular fragrance, or like was when it launched. And this one I got in gratis, but I can't find the scribe. Where's the scribe? Oh, it's here. See the G? You see that? It's scribed. It doesn't bother me. Well, on the makeup, sometimes it did bother me, but I never took my makeup to work. So it annoyed me that they would have to scribe the makeup that I was gifted. Just because it was like, I'm not taking this into work. And oftentimes I was wearing brands that Sephora didn't carry. It's a spring evening. It's enough into spring that it's colorful, but not as colorful as Scent of Peace. Like, we're just starting to get the color back. And this is like first date vibes. This is like absolutely first date vibes. So sweet. Just so sweet. Like, it's like, and I mean that in both ways, where like the smell is sweet, but also like the vibe that I'm getting is like, oh, sweet. Like, it's just so sweet. Like, something innocent and beautiful is happening. Like, you're maybe going on a second date, like, because you're familiar enough with this person and you're like really excited about it, because the nerves aren't there anymore because you already broke that ice, broke that tension. A lot of the smells I have are related to like social situations, which is fine. And it's the first day where it's warm enough to sit outside at the restaurant you're at. It's oddly warm for this early spring day, whatever that means in 2024. This one smells good. I don't wear this one a lot because, again, it's just like, it's a fragrance that you could find at Sephora, but I like this one better because it's a better layering fragrance. It's like, it smells really good on something like Wall Street or even Black Orchid, because it's like you have those florals going together. A floral fragrance for women. That makes sense. It's very floral. Top notes, orange blossom and bergamot. And I think maybe this is the first time I can smell a little bit of citrus in it. The middle notes are tuberose and Indian jasmine. The base notes are Madagascar vanilla, white musk, and Virginian cedar. Maybe I just need that musk at the base of something that has more floral notes in it, because that has been a trend. Not something that I would have been able to pinpoint before doing this video, but definitely there. It's very girly. Like, for lack of a better term, it's pretty girly. Like, I've worn this on my own when I'm feeling very girly pop, like very, very girly pop, but it's very rare that I wear this one just straight, because it's like, it's just so girly pop. You might not know this if you're not into like drag culture, but a lot of drag queens, drag performers, even local girls will put on, like, they have a scent that they wear in drag. I could absolutely seeing a drag queen being like, this is my stuff, you know, like, this is exactly what I want to smell like. I love it though. It is so girly pop. Maybe I'm feeling a little girly pop today because I'm feeling quite fond of it. I don't always, sometimes I open this cap just to give it a sniff to see, like, when I'm picking out fragrances, I'm like, ugh. But I'm feeling girly pop today. I'm so girly pop today. I have two more fragrances. They're the YSL ones. I'm not feeling a particular fondness for them. So I think what I want to do is actually wrap up the video. It's YSL Libre. I have like an intense version and another version, and I had some smaller ones I was going to go through, but I just realized I've been talking for 54 minutes, really taking my time. So I thought this was going to be a much shorter video, but I'm me and I talk forever. So that's that. But we will explore fragrance in the future. If you have any ideas of what you would like to see fragrance-wise, fragrance content-wise, let me know. I don't know where to start, so maybe we could brainstorm and come up with some things together about what you might want to see fragrance-wise. I don't know how much money I'm going to like put into fragrances, so we'll see how this video does, see if there's even an interest in that. I'm still going to explore fragrance on my own, but if I explore fragrance on my own, it's going to be at a slower pace than I would if I like was introducing it into a bit of regular content, if that makes sense. Let me know down below. What are your favorite fragrances? What is your signature scent? Are there any fragrances that you're interested in? Let me know so I can look into them myself. What I'm looking at, the two that are on my wish list right now are the Maison, I don't remember what the fragrance house is, but the Baccarat fragrance. When I was in Vegas, I smelled that when I was with Laura May Beauty. She actually let me spray hers on me, and I was like, it smells so good. It's such an unassuming fragrance. It's so expensive, but it is like a beautiful everyday fragrance. Like, I could easily see that being something that I would like spray on myself every day. That'll probably be the next one I'm gonna buy. I will tell you this. Oh, just if you happen to have a Selfridges account, like, and you pay for the yearly free shipping, international shipping, fragrances on Selfridges are so much cheaper than they are in America department stores. I bought a friend a fragrance recently and it was like $100 cheaper buying it from Selfridges. And I already paid for the annual subscription, so it wasn't like I was paying for that fee in addition to the fragrance. It was just like so much cheaper. Anyway, just throwing that out there for anyone who might need to know that information. And the other one I have on my mind, it's like Rainbow something, or maybe it's just called Rainbow from, oh God, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a petrichor fragrance and it's been recommended to me a couple of times. And there is a store in Pittsburgh that carries that brand and I can't think of their name. I can see like the bottle in my head and they don't carry that fragrance because I've called and asked because I was like, can I just smell that? They don't have it. So bummer. Bummer. Anyway, if you happen to be new to my channel and you maybe clicked on this because you're super into fragrance, one, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is the route I took. If you have any suggestions, kind suggestions, gentle suggestions about how to create content that might be worthwhile for actual fragrance lovers who are like in the game and know a lot more than me, let me know. Gentle, kind, gentle hands. Everyone, gentle hands in the comments. But my regular gig here is I do beauty content where I try to be very conscious about what I purchase as far as like how much money I'm spending, because I've certainly gotten myself into trouble. So I'm trying to build the habit and help people who watch my channel build the habit of just being more discerning about the makeup that we're buying and whatever that means to you. For me, it's a conscious consumerist situation where I don't want to overspend, don't want to overconsume. I want to use the makeup I already have. I want things that I buy and invite into my makeup collection to be something that's adding value as opposed to distracting me from something else that I could have used instead. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Share it if you found it worth sharing. I don't know. It's my first time doing this. And I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. And I also have channel memberships. It's the same. You get the same benefits at either place. And I do an additional video every month. And I also have a podcast with Khaki of Khaki Reviews Beauty, which we post weekly on either one of our Patreons. So you can join hers as well. You don't get my personal videos on hers, but you will get the podcast if you join hers. Anyway, that wraps up this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to follow your hope and you'll find me.